Okay, should be working now.
Интернет. Ну хорошо. Интернет. Если надо.
Рабочий сайт для интернета, если нет,
I have on the phone here.
у него на телефоне.
Не надо, да?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Krishna Govinda Haribara. All right?
Есть рабочий сайт.
It's working. Yeah. Looks okay? So call all your friends and tell them we're broadcasting live. Looks all right? That's yesterday. No, that's now?
Oh, it's me.
No, that's now. Is that yesterday or today?
Maybe it's new.
Let me see.
It's yesterday with window.
Oh, what about now? It says it's broadcasting. It's really sweet. Did you put sugar in it? Ah, wow. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhisram Stapitam Yena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, every class starts with the word so, doesn't it? I thought we would continue yesterday by leaving open for questions about anything, or questions in which we could bring together what we discussed about beliefs. So, what would you like to do? Or you like me to talk and try to bring it together? Or all three?
I like the idea of some questions.
You have some?
Yes.
Okay.
I think a bit
Okay. Walk behind the camera. Well, it's all right. We'll edit that part out. Or crawl on the floor.
I was thinking it's recorded here in movies.
Well, I can tell you some things that I'm thinking about, because I was at a wedding and one of my godbrothers was there, and we were talking. He said, my mission is to get devotees to sit down together and read Prabhupada's books. He said, I don't think there's anything more important than that. And the reason he said that is because it's not being done enough. So I like that. You like that? Yeah. Think it's important? So, in appreciation of what's in Prabhupada's books and how they affect the heart, he felt that one of the main things he wants to do with the rest of his life is establish that, or inculcate that as a normal practice everywhere he goes, everyone he sees. So you meditate on that. I think it has a lot of implication. The implication is that, well, the way I understand it is that Maya is very powerful. And when I was just in Bangalore, I was telling devotees that we shouldn't think there isn't any happiness in the material world. There's actually a lot of it, because Maya makes it very attractive. And if we say there's no happiness, then the logical conclusion is we would have no attraction. Right? If you say there's no happiness in the world, that means you wouldn't be attracted to anything. But since we are attracted, since we still have attachments, that means we feel that there is happiness to be gotten. So the point I was making was that there is happiness. You just have to admit it. There is. Things are attractive. People are attractive. People do attractive things. There are pleasures. But Krishna consciousness is the only way we're going to overcome those desires. And hearing Prabhupada's books strengthens the intelligence. To such a point, even you can look at something attractive and not be attracted by it. Yes? No? Maybe? At least my experience is that the position of Maya is to take away intelligence, and the position of Prabhupada's books is to give intelligence. Right? And it's almost like an injection of intelligence medicine. You could imagine you injected some medicine that made you smarter, or it enabled you to see things as they are, because we tend not to see things as they are. I think some people are extremely optimistic, even actually things aren't so good, and they should be realistic about it. They're not. And vice versa, things aren't so bad and they're pessimistic. Right? And some people might say Prabhupada's pessimistic, but I think he's just realistic, and sometimes realism is pessimistic. Sometimes realism is positive. But Prabhupada's books they show you what it's like. And as conditioned souls, we don't always see what it's like. We want to see what we'd like it to be. Right? Just like, think for example, if you're ever attached to something, to enjoying it, then you imagine what the experience will be like when you enjoy it. Right? I would like this because I imagine it will give me pleasure. You wouldn't be attached to it if you didn't imagine it would give you pleasure. You would stop thinking about it. Yes? So you imagine it's going to be like this. But is it always like that? No. And probably those who aren't devotees, when they read Prabhupada's books, might think, this is really pessimistic. You should be more upbeat, more positive. But for us, we have to deal with reality, so that's what you get from Prabhupada's books. You get reality. This is just what it's like. And when you know what it's like, then you can pack your bags and prepare for it. It's going to be cold, you're going to have to sleep outside, bring a tent, bring warm clothes. There's going to be nothing on the ground, bring your mat. It's like, so you know how to prepare. So that's what Prabhupada is doing. But generally, we don't see things realistically. We see things optimistically. At least in terms of sense gratification. If I get this, it'll make me happy, or you're a complete pessimist. If I get this, it'll drive me crazy. Both of which are probably not true. You don't agree? It's okay.
No, we had some German conversation. In Germany, we say if someone is very innocent, very dialect is about something that we say he is blue-eyed.
Sees everything blue.
So he is really, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, after you have blue eyes. So it was just a word like that. Sorry.
Yeah. We got it. Colored glasses. Yeah. Rosy. We say rose-colored glasses in English. Sees everything with rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
Prabhupada has said that the laws of nature are like an infection. I also see it like intoxication. And we're all a little bit intoxicated, and you read Prabhupada's books, it's like the antidote to intoxication. It's like it brings you down into reality, and the intoxication takes you off. Anyone experience it like that? Like an antidote to material intoxication?
I heard something nice once in Vrindavan from Indra Maharaj in a class. He said, we are suffering in material world. It's suffering, but no one believes. It's the same, they enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like someone is intoxicated from alcohol.
From?
And he is, and bumps his head as a ball, and is already bleeding, and blue eye, and I don't know why. And someone comes and tells him, well, stop this drinking, you are suffering. He will say, I'm not suffering, I'm happy, and so on and so on. He can't believe because he's so intoxicated.
Yes.
It was really, then it's understandable why people don't believe.
Yeah. Well, also you have to understand that if they say they're not happy, they don't have an alternative other than suicide. So it's hard to admit you're not happy. Because why do you get out of bed? What would be the purpose? Okay. Another thing that came up, which was an interesting discussion, and I won't say who said this because maybe you won't agree with it, but this lighting's so bad, it's so fuzzy. Anyway, what? No, I need more lights. Anyway, it's okay. They don't have to see me, they just have to hear me. I'm not that beautiful. Oh wow, look at that. I'm getting, this could make it or break it. Whoops, I think we just lost, no, yeah, we're still there. Wow. Maybe. I think, you know what I think it is that this screen is on low battery. So maybe it actually looks better. Maybe it looks better. What?
Low battery mode, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, put it there, yeah. Maybe, yeah. Okay, let's try it. Okay. The devotee was saying something interesting. He said, I think it was about what we were talking about yesterday. That sometimes when devotees are trying to understand something through philosophy or through a verse, like we say, Shastra Chakshush, you should see through the eye of Shastra. As we said yesterday, sometimes it can get confusing. And you kind of detach from your common sense, because maybe you don't understand the Shastric verse in proper context or in a balanced way. So he said sometimes what he needs to do is stand back and just look at the situation. Without looking at Shastra and just say, what do I think this means, or how do I understand this? And then go back to Shastra, kind of a reverse format. He said, because sometimes, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but you're trying to understand something through Shastra, but it doesn't seem like it's that way. Like, devotees have all the good qualities of the demigods and all the non-devotees don't have any good qualities. So you're trying to understand how that is when so-and-so Prabhu, you loaned him money a year ago and he hasn't paid you back yet. And you loaned your old best friend money and he paid you back, immediately. So sometimes just looking straight through the Shastra, you may not understand it in a broad context. It may be difficult to deal with. So he said sometimes I have to stand back and look at it kind of, I think in the sense he meant, just kind of looking at it through my intelligence. Just like, what does this mean? And then look for reference in the Shastra to clarify. And sometimes he said for him, it becomes easier to understand something that way. Of course you have to be advanced enough. You have to be advanced enough to do that. You understand? Confused now? Throw away the Shastra. It's especially true when you actually don't understand the verse well. Like that verse, a lot of people misunderstand. So you don't understand it well. You try to apply it to a situation that you'll misunderstand. Did I tell you, I don't know if I told you, but disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, when disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, when he misspelled a word, they said, he didn't misspell it, it's misspelled in the dictionary. Did you know that? Because he's a pure devotee, the dictionary has it wrong. You understand?
Could you repeat my ears are back? I didn't get it.
You may not get it even if you heard it.
That's possible, but at least I want to hear it properly. Then I have something to think about.
If Srila Bhaktisiddhanta misspelled a word, then his disciples would say, the word he didn't misspell it, it's misspelled in the dictionary. Because a pure devotee can never make a mistake. But that's an extreme example of dropping common sense. To try to make sense with a Shastric reference that everything the pure devotee says is perfect. You understand? Like if that's what the Shastra says, Krishna is speaking to him, he sees past, present, and future, then he couldn't possibly misspell a word. It has to mean that the spelling in the dictionary is wrong. Now if you stand back and you look at the word and it's spelled one way and the dictionary it's spelled another, then as an editor you correct it, right? That's the common sense. So I think that's what the point the devotee was making, that sometimes in looking at something through Shastra, not understanding it clearly, you may drop your common sense. Or maybe you never had any, then you're really in trouble. But most people have some degree of common sense, right? You understand? Does that make sense? Doubting him? Yeah.
Even though it was as we know it, their own.
Oh yeah, right. That's there also. But then she was saying that the devotee saw a crab and Prabhupada called him another name, and the devotee said, no, that's a crab. And Prabhupada chastised the devotee for not agreeing with the spiritual master. Then you may have the situation where you're about to drive off a cliff, and the spiritual master says, that's not a cliff. You have to say, yes it is. Even if he says no, because you don't want to drive off the cliff. Right? Now someone might say, maybe it's not a cliff, you just don't have faith. But you can clearly see it's a cliff. Yes? So, except when you're driving off a cliff. No, it's not good, but If you're afraid that by following an instruction, there would be a bad result, you can say, I'm concerned if I do this, this will happen. That this might not be legal or whatever. So, maybe he didn't know. Then he might say, okay, all right, then don't do it. But that would happen also. It's the mood in which you're doing it. It's not that you don't want to follow or doubt, but according to your understanding, maybe he didn't know everything he needed to know, so you present him, said no, but this and this and this could happen. And if you, let's say, did what he said and it produced a bad result, then he might say, did you know this would happen? And if you said yes, he would say, why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know. So there's a balance there. Especially in situations where you have expertise in a particular area. So you can give that expertise. And then if the spiritual master says, no, this is the way we're going to do it, then you say, okay. I think it's the same discussion we had yesterday. Prabhupada in one letter said Krishna consciousness means, Krishna consciousness is 90% common sense. Everything is just logical. So I have seen some devotees lose common sense in trying to apply the philosophy. Trying to apply the philosophy to living, misunderstanding it, they lose common sense. Sometimes. It's possible. So that's why this devotee said, sometimes I just have to look at the situation, because trying to understand it through Shastra, sometimes I may do better understanding it first. Let me look at it and say, I understand it, then go to the Shastra and get support for that. Say that again. I didn't get the first part.
When we were talking last night about how some devotees, it gets a bit problematic because they rely on Shastra without actually, if they use Shastra without actually understanding the true meaning, but maybe they're relying on Shastra only on their own understanding without seeking.
Without seeking Guru, sadhu. Yeah. I'll tell you the other conversation I was having with a devotee. We were talking about, I don't know if you ever had conversations, but sometimes you'll notice there's a certain, what you might call group consciousness. Everybody's thinking a certain way, everybody's understanding something a certain way, and it's actually the wrong understanding. Like somehow or other, we just misunderstand something. I misunderstand it, you misunderstand it, you, everybody misunderstands it. And then, 50 years later, some devotees, or most devotees, figure out that that was a misunderstanding. And that's just an ongoing process. As we mature, we understand things more deeply. So, about 6-7 years ago, I had seen there were lots of misunderstandings, just based on understanding one aspect of something, but not without understanding the whole. Just like if you're sick and you only understand one aspect of the disease, then the remedy won't be complete, because you won't understand all the functions of the organs and how are affecting the disease, and you'll just attack one, something like that. So I was telling him that I had this desire to write a book and take every verse or every purport from Prabhupada's books that I believe is misunderstood, and explain it, how it's misunderstood and the proper understanding. And he said he was thinking of the exact same thing. And in fact, I just got an email with I don't know who it's from, but the email subject line is the book about misunderstanding Prabhupada. So Maybe I told that to someone else, but there are many, many things we misunderstand. Of course, your question will be, well, how do I know I misunderstand it? And how do I even know the person giving the Bhagavatam understands it? That's there also. But, I don't know if we talked about this last night. Sometimes you understand it in a particular way, and your understanding may be correct or may be limited. Or it may be relative to your situation. This is what makes sense to you, for you particularly. And that can be right, and for me, it doesn't make sense. But we can both be right. That's also possible. In any case, if you read Prabhupada books on a regular basis, then you're going to understand things better. And I think a lot of people misunderstand. They just don't read Prabhupada's books that much, so they don't really know. And someone who does may see defects in something, where another person wouldn't. So that's, we're trying to establish Prabhupada's mission. And without knowing his books well, sometimes we can't. Even Prabhupada was so upset one time. On the morning walk, sometimes devotees play the devil's advocate. And they'll say, they say this, they say that. So one devotee was playing the devil's advocate, and he said something about Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada just got on his case. He said, you don't read Bhagavad Gita, you don't know that? And he would say, no, Prabhupada, I'm saying what the non-devotees would say. And then Prabhupada, he said, you don't know Bhagavad Gita, you don't read it, you're a devotee, how can you say it? Interesting. It was just, very hard on him for not reading his books. And Prabhupada's books are the remedy. Any problem you have, it's remedied in the book. And if you have a problem, you need to read more. I think. I'm not saying the remedy will solve the problem overnight, but the remedy is there. One devotee was having a problem, and I did some research from Prabhupada's books, and I was like stunned at what Prabhupada said. It just got right to the heart of the problem, to the essence of it. It actually shook me a little bit. It actually amazed me and almost shocked me with how powerful it was. Never feel shocked out of Maya by reading something Prabhupada says? Anyone have that experience? No? This purport will shock you out of Maya. Again, it's because of the reality of what Prabhupada's saying. It's so real, it's so true. You can't deny it. And Maya's job is that you're always denying it. Because it's so hard to admit when something's true. Because if it's true, we have to give up something. Or we have to stop thinking in a certain way. Right? Or stop dwelling on this attachment. And that's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once he said, your condition in the material world is like you have gangrene. You know gangrene? Gangrene in Russian. Muscle gichet. And you have to cut it. You have to cut it out. You're a doctor? You have to cut it out. So he said, in material life you have the disease of gangrene, and the spiritual master has to cut it out with a knife of harsh words. Because sometimes the soft words aren't sharp enough to cut it out. Yes? You didn't like that?
I tell you, when you tell me how she looks.
Yeah, if you look at Prabhupada's books, you see a lot of the words are, I mean, they're sweet, but they're sharp. They do cut, but that's necessary. Need to be shaken up a little bit sometimes. We need an adjustment in our lens sometimes. We need an injection of intelligence sometimes. We need a redirection sometimes if we're going off a little bit. And that's what you'll experience. And also reading Prabhupada's books awakens realization. Even though if you read the same thing a million times, it doesn't matter. Because it's not static. So you may get new realizations from the same thing. And Prabhupada said something really interesting. It was stuck with me. He said, the way you advance in spiritual life is through realization. Because realization is kind of like you're lost in the forest, you don't know how to get out, and then you kind of see, there's a light there and I see the city. That's like a realization. It's a way out. I just got a realization. That's like, oh, I found a path out of the forest. Or I found a path out of the maze. That's what a realization is. Isn't it? You experience it like that? It's like realization is kind of like a clue. You're just floundering around, lost, and I just got a realization. I should go this way. That's what it is. So there's a lot of realizations that come from reading Prabhupada's books. And so Prabhupada said that, he said that, this is a very powerful statement, and I'll elaborate on it because it's so important. And we may take this for granted. He said, to advance in Krishna consciousness, it depends on realization. You have to have them. Because if you're lost in the forest and you don't see how to get out, what are you going to do? You just stay in the forest. So, advancement in Krishna consciousness is dependent on realization. And then Prabhupada said, therefore, the devotee is very careful to keep himself in a position